What's up, everyone? This is Ronnie coming to you today. It's beautiful outside. You kind of see the glare we got. I closed the curtain because it was actually worse. That ball in the sky is making it hard for me to make videos. But gonna be a lot of screen shares. Gonna be a lot of going over things. But thank you all for coming. Today we're gonna talk about sourcing from estate sales and auctions. And I've talked a lot about this in the past, but a lot of people have asked these questions. And even though I maybe made a video a year ago, we're just going to update it a little bit and talk about it a little bit more. And for the most part, before we get into the meat and potatoes, we'll just explain kind of what estate sale and what auctions are. Auctions are usually just that. They're an auction. They're to get rid of items, no matter if they're overstock or someone's estates or so many different reasons. We'll get into that in a little bit. Auctions are basically a way to liquidate items in a quick manner. So are estate sales for the most part. Estate sales are usually just that they're a sale at a estate, usually somebody's house. They're either moved or they're passed away, unfortunately. Sometimes they're held in like a hall, depending. Like sometimes here the winters are really bad. They'll take the stuff from somebody's house, or maybe it's in an area that it's kind of hard to be accessible. They'll sell the stuff at a hall, or maybe even an off-site like a warehouse, or if they didn't have many items at that estate sale, they may do that too. They're usually run one of two ways, either by a personal or by a company. Personal, basically, nothing usually is marked. It'll be almost like a yard sale, but it's inside a house. Basically, whatever you want, pick a price, talk to the person, and see if you can make a deal. Usually, the more stuff you buy, the better price you get. If it's a company, most of the stuff will be priced, and they'll have people in almost every room helping you. They'll give you like little receipts. See if I have a receipt. I don't think I've been to a estate sale in the last few weeks, but so they'll give you a receipt. It's a lot of times it's good to have cash with estate sales. Some of them will take a local check. Some of them will also take credit cards, but a lot of estate sales, they'll do the private credit cards, like the credit card readers on like an iPhone or maybe an iPad. And sometimes, depending on the location of the sale, it doesn't always work. They won't have a reception. So it's kind of, you don't want to be stuck there trying to buy something and you can't due to your credit card not working. So I almost always have a lot of cash out for just that reason. And we'll talk about a little bit more. We'll go to the websites. We'll actually go to the two websites I use in a little bit, and we'll look around and show you how you can kind of research before going to a sale and have a little idea of stuff like that. Losing my voice here, I think. All right. Most of the time you find them either auctions. For the most part, I find them on auctionzip.com. And for estate sales, I use, what did I say it was? auctionzip.com. And the other one for estate sales is estatesales.net. And we'll go over them in a minute and talk about them. I mean, estate sales can be very, what's the word I want to use? Very confusing. They can be overwhelming. Usually everybody kind of, you'll see a line, depending on the sale. People will start getting there an hour or two early, depending on what's available at that sale. It's kind of whoever's in the front of that line is going to be able to pick up the item that um, they want if the price is right. And you want to make sure that you get there early. Early bird gets the worm with that stuff. There's a sales I've been to where they've had like video game stuff, and the person that's the 100th in line will be complaining that when she got in there and in the first 5 minutes that item was not available. Well, there's 100 people before you. Like, how is nobody before you wanted that item? And they'll make a stink. And that's another thing. You always want to be good with these companies and the other people that you go there with, because at some point there'll be stuff that they'll price too high, and you can get it for a better price if they know you go to them, you spend money, you're not a pain in the ass. They're willing to work with you a lot better. Um, you know, you get in line a few hours ahead of time. I mean, there's people that show up to these things 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We were at a state sale here at an old garage, and the first person showed up at 11 o'clock in the morning, 9 hours before the show, before it started. My wife got there 2 hours early, and she was number 9. So it just goes to show you how crazy it can be. And we got a few of the items we wanted, but we did not get, a good portion of what we wanted. And the guy that was second also brought 4 friends with him. So he was second, third, fourth, and fifth. So he had his little crew with him to make sure he got everything he wanted. It was like large barn, and then there was 2 side things, and kind of like everybody scattered. So it was kind of crazy. It was like, oh, he had a good idea, for that. And there's a line, there's a numbers. They'll give out numbers sometimes about an hour before the sale. You want to be present. That way you can get off the line. You can go to your car, sit in your car for a few minutes. Parking can be ridiculous at estate sales the later you get also. I mean, you got to figure there might be 100 people at the time of an estate sale. And let's say it's 2 people to a car. There's 50 cars or more sometimes in a small area. Most of the time you can only park on one side of the road. It kind of gets really hesitant when there's cars parked on both sides of the road, because you kind of only can go up or down, especially if they're in like cul-de-sacs. I've gotten my truck stuck in places before because I had Expedition before this, and before that I have a Suburban now. It's kind of a bigger vehicle, and sometimes people will not park very properly. I have to actually go into the sale to get people to move their vehicles, and they're in the wrong, but man, it can be pain in the butt sometimes. But it's well worth it, because the quality of stuff usually is very good. And it's definitely a good break from going to estate sales, and from thrift stores and stuff like that. It's good to have a game plan, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But like I said, we want to bring cash. Another thing I do is I try to drink and eat as little as possible when I go to estate sales, because the last thing you want to do is have to go to the bathroom, especially if you're waiting in line for like a few hours. Where are you gonna go? A lot of the time you can't use the bathroom in somebody's house. it's you're not going to happen. Depending on the weather, you kind of want to dress appropriately too. Here in the wintertime, you want to make sure you have a warm hat, warm jacket, maybe gloves if you're going to wait outside for a few hours. Same thing if you're going to wait, somewhere here in the summer, you may want to make sure you have sunscreen on, maybe a hat properly. You just want to, you don't want to get sick or anything like that. And turn that off. We don't need any distractions. But another thing I always do is I bring bags with me. Some places will not let you bring your bags in, and we're talking about those like shopping bags you get from like retail stores, not like the IKEA bags, because the last thing you do, and if you're grabbing a bunch of things, you have to keep them in your hands for the most part. A lot of sales that let you hold stuff in the front, but I put stuff in my bag, go to the next room. If you're looking for bigger things, sometimes it's good to bring sold stickers with you. That way you can put, if you want an item, you can put it on the item and walk away. At a lot of sales around us, I don't know if it's certain people, but a lot of the companies have actually got away from that. You actually have to ask them for the sold sticker, and they'll write you up a piece of paper and give it to that item, because I guess there was a lot of people that were putting sold things on things and not picking them up and not actually buying them. So later in the day, that they would possibly come back, I think, and take the sticker off and then try to buy the item. Pretty sneaky, you know. But check the chat real quick before we get into checking out some things. But good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Pins and Pesos, what's up? How are you? My wife is watching me. She's sending me messages. I think she just tried calling me too. Somebody tried calling me. I didn't look who it is. Lonnie, what's up? Garage Flips, how you doing? Sue. Pins and Pesos, when did I ever make you a moderator? That's pretty cool. You got the tool next to you. You're a tool. Everybody give Pins and Pesos a congratulations. Says they just took an offer on a house. She's moving. Chicago Crown Hustler, how you doing, Mr. Flipster? I don't know why I couldn't get that one out. That's pretty cool, interesting name. Comic Thrifter. Germany in the house. Hey, there you go. I was gonna say I can't say your name. I wonder why. Ken, Robin, how is everybody doing? But we're gonna get into a little screen share here. I'll go back and forth to the chat. If you have any questions, make sure you put those little question mark thingies so I can catch you a little bit. But we're gonna start with going to like I said, the state sale website. I pulled it up here. Now this is the website right here. It's estatesales.net. And you see they have states everywhere. It's basically USA. You go through them and they'll have some sales here, usually like the featured national sales. But we're gonna look in my area. Hit Massachusetts, then you come down here and it has basically larger towns, areas, smaller towns. We live in the Barnstable area down on Cape Cod. Oh well, there's more sales than I actually thought there would be on Easter week here. Then they also do have auctions. A lot of the auctions are through Max Sold. That's another auction site basically for states. I've never really used it. And here's like a store closing. They're having a sale too. We can look at the store closing. Why not? That's in Orleans. That's a pretty decent area by us. And you can see the pictures here of certain things. I've never seen this place before. You can see here, like in this picture, there's some guitars on the wall. Parking meter. I'm not too interested in checking this out. Let's go back to the state sales. All right. We're in the state sales, and I look by the towns, as Osterville is an extremely high-end town, a lot of money there, a lot of expensive areas. Sometimes I'll Google the addresses to see. Sometimes they're for sale. There are states where they've just been sold, so you can check them out. This one is in Dennis. It's okay area. It's on Main Street. I wouldn't expect all that much. North Chatham sale would probably be a good one. Barnstable's a very good. This is extremely higher end area, New Seasbury. I used to actually landscape for a company that did a lot of landscaping out there. But let's check this one out. This is, yeah, and I mean, it's pretty easy to, if you wanted to check. Sometimes I do this if I have a lot of time. Just go check it out. And it's going to show on Zillow here. This is a 4,000 square foot home. It's about 1.6, yeah, $1.6 million. So pretty interesting house. We'll go back over to here. We'll check out what they got. And you can read some of the stuff they got here. Nothing catches my eye really, but we'll see what they got. Look through the pictures. I mean, it's a great place to get furniture. A lot of furniture sticks around to the last days, actually. And as the days go on, if a sale is one day, usually, let's say it's 9 to 3, usually anytime after the crowd dies down. So we'll say 11:30, 12. You can usually start to make deals with the estate companies because they have to get this stuff out of the house. Look, some good cookware right there. Probably maybe the French brand, or I can't, Le Crescent or whatever it's called, or maybe some of the other ones like Danka, whatever it is. But you know, might be some money in the plateware there. Some more plateware. Huntsman. Don't know enough about that. You can get very lucky in estate sales. This is all probably silver, I'm guessing. Maybe silver plate. Looks like a tea set. This one seems to be a lot of vintage items. And for me, it wouldn't be a sale I would go to. That looks pretty old. But it's not a sale. That I would be over my head at that sale, that's for sure. But everybody looks to be behaving themselves in the chat. This is a sale in Dennis, and you can see the companies right here. They have their phone numbers and everything. And you could also find these on Craigslist and also your local newspaper. Sometimes there'll be sales. Actually, this sale has their thing where they rate themselves. And this one they're saying is a gold or platinum. So I might have been initially wrong. This is 2 days right there, Friday and Saturday. 10 to 3, 10 to 3 items on Saturday are 50% off. So, you know, and they give you little instructions. There will be a police officer from 9 to 1. Park only on one side of the road. It's on 6A. So 6A is a 2-lane road. It's on the north side. And it is older homes for the most part. A lot of paintings and stuff like that, books, a lot of dolls. Dolls freak me out. Some paint. Oh, let's see. If you wanted some clothes, there looks to be some clothes. They look like they have a lot of shoes. And the clothes don't look anything spectacular. I could be wrong, but looks like a lot of clothing. Old vacuum cleaner. What do you call those things? Can't think of the name of it. Chad would know what the hell you call that. But see that there. Clock. I bought a few of those thinking they were going to do well and haven't. Sometimes you can get a good idea what there is. There's one of those. Is that a Victophone or whatever you call it? Pretty interesting, but A lot of records. If you like records, there you go. More shoes, more clothing, lamps. Holy cow, lamps. Christmas stuff. There's always the Christmas stuff at these things, or the holiday stuff. You get to certain areas of the house, they have all the uh, stuff out. Brockton Company brand biscuits. That's pretty cool because that's local to us. Probably about 45 minutes away. What is this? The prom dress area, wedding dresses. It almost looks like a container or something, doesn't it? You can get an idea by the pictures too of where you think stuff may be. So if you have an idea looking through the pictures, you can kind of tell, take notes of where you think stuff is, if it's stuff's in the bathroom, so on and so forth. But go back over here. Yeah, Electrolux. That's what that vacuum probably was. Looking through the chat, just seeing, looking around. Everybody seems to be good. No questions, so we're good. Check out this next sale. This is over in Chatham. Land of the Sharks. Chatham's always on Shark Channel recently. They have a huge, it's on the edge of the Cape, and they have a huge thing of sharks over there because of seals. It attracts the sharks. Some weird trinkets right there for sure. Some purses, paintings again. I mean, estate sales are very interesting. Duck decoys, some stuff about decoys. Unfortunately, I can't even make out what that says. Looks like to be some jewelry. There's almost always jewelry at estate sales. There's the people that get there to buy the silver, the gold, and then basically turn around and flip it pretty quickly. I mean, you got books. There's always books at estate sales for the most part. Nothing is catching my eye so far with these places. See some furniture, see some more clothing. Nah, nothing looks too crazy. It looks like a bunch of old tools. More stuff. Sometimes, I'll study the pictures depending on what I see in the pictures to try to figure out what something is worth. More decoys. Old stove. A lot of wood planes there. Some more tools. There's always tools at estate sales too. You can see they put on the side of the box $20. So you can tell right now that's going to be $20. This old Hood milk crate, 2-man saw. Old little, what do you call those things? Boombox. Bicycle, all kinds of knickknacks and stuff here. Some old, what do you call it? Hiking stuff. Check out the last one. You always catch the names too. New Seasbury Retro Miami Vice. It's like, oh boy, they have a DeLorean in the driveway. Oh, that is hideous. But yeah, this sale definitely seems like it's stuck in the 90s or the 80s. Some Coca-Cola stuff, but I'm gonna say there's nothing with those. This stuff just seems too recent for anything. A funky table or whatever you want to call that. Telescope. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be that interesting. How you guys doing? So tell me about where, let's look up a different zip code. Where are you at? So I'll pick out somebody's zip code. Whoever's to put their zip code first, we're gonna check your area out. Give me a zip code, any zip code. We'll check a different area because my area doesn't look too interesting this weekend. I didn't see anything that like stuck out at me. All right, let's check this one out. Okay, let's check Michael's out. Go to state sales, search. So we're in Orange County, basically. There's a total of 42 estate sales in the area, 20 auctions, 7 other kind of liquidations. So estate sales are going out of business. Huge pass. You got to check out the weeks too, because I've done this before. The weeks for this are like April 29th. As here, this is this week. You kind of always want to make sure you don't get too far ahead of yourself. I went looking for a sale that I was a week off. I've done that before. This seems like a great place to go. If you love vintage and cute clothing, this is for you. Been collecting for many years. Everything in piles is $5 or 5 pieces for $20. 3,000 plus men's clothing, vintage stuff. I mean, this looks like it would be. Look at that. Talk about digging at there'd have to be some money to be made here. David Bowie 1978 World Tour shirt. I bet you that's got to be worth some money. Let's check out eBay. Yeah, maybe not as much as I thought. This one right there. Who don't like David Bowie? I don't like David Bowie. Oh, stop and get out of here. Well, there's one right there. Some of these look like they might be, repops of these. So you definitely want to find the true vintage ones, which, you'd know that by the tags and so on and so forth. But that looks to be a true vintage shirt. Pink Floyd 1978 tour. So, I mean, there's some freaking cool stuff here. Debbie Gibson. That one's just for Golden Finger Picker. I have no idea who that is. Gay Pride. Oh, boy. I have no idea. But look at the piles. I mean, you could have some fun at this place. Being just some really cool stuff at this sale. This sale would be awesome. Probably, I bet you there's people lining up at this sale 8 hours ahead of time. I mean, this is going to be one of those sales that are going to be out of the freaking place. But it looks pretty cool. Let's see if we can check out some other places. These ones right here are usually featured, or they try to make it stand out. Totally vintage and antique, Los Angeles County. But a bunch of tools looking like, a bunch of tools, bunch of boxes. Not seeing anything really that interesting. With 72 sales, I would bet there's a lot of places to go. But you can see a lot of them are 2 days, so. This one right here. A lot of stuff, pretty cool. A lot of tools, Pyrex stuff. More tools. Where's Square Deal Guy, my tool guy? We'll go back over here. Let's just pick an area. Let's pick Texas. Go to Austin. Just play around. You can see right here. There's 39 in the area of Austin. Let's have some fun with this. Let's go to this one. Christmas shopping made easy. Huh. Somehow I don't know. This one like here, accept cash or credit cards over $50. So you only want to make sure no returns or refunds. Like, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Marc Jacobs shoes, Julian Burke purses, some jewelry, 14, 10, and 18 karat sterling silver. But this sale, they looked to write down everything they had. I think everything. But pictures of some oddball, crazy stuff here. I don't even know what this stuff is. A lot of appliances, and it's all like the same pot. Plates. That's an ugly color for plates. Holy cow. Lots of clothing. Some of that looks brand new. A lot of perfumes. There's money in perfumes and stuff like that. A lot of shoes, but I don't think this is high-end stuff. See that one brand there is Me Too. I don't think that's a high-end brand, but still don't know because there's so much stuff at that sale. A lot of crazy things right there. But let me see here. Yeah, depending on where you are, Sue, you're gonna get all kinds of different stuff depending on where you are. But I don't think we could look at estate sales in Germany. I think this is just for the U.S. Yeah, just for the U.S. But you could look at Alaska, see if Alaska had any estate sales coming up. Anchorage. Anything? Nothing. Probably still cold up there, right? I guess. But let's put in. I don't even know where this is. Where is this? Yeah, I mean, depending on where some things are, you may have to travel a little bit to get to estate sales. See, this one right here is in Topeka, Kansas. 8,000 square foot house. Like, that is ridiculous. That's a huge house. All kinds of things like here. Buggies and 300 plus Barbies. Holy shit. That's a lot of dolls. But I mean, you could imagine there'd have to be something in this house that's so big. A lot of trinkets. I've driven like 2 or 3 hours to get to a estate sale. I've known people that have driven 500, 600 miles for one estate sale. And if you're going to an estate sale that is going to require you to take some time up, I would definitely make sure you get there in enough time to make sure you're in the front of the line to get the items that you want. The last thing you'd want to do is be late to something. We're gonna get out of estate sales. I mean, basically, you get the picture, you get the idea of it. I forgot where we are now, but come back for a minute and we'll talk about auctions a little bit more. But yeah, depending on where you are, there's going to be huge amounts of sales. It's creepy. Some of the houses are very iffy going into a house. They could be very smelly or um, depending on how long. I don't know who Dio is. Dio. I not my I guess not my generation. But depending on where you are, you're gonna get different stuff. I mean, if I go back here and I go to like where my parents live in New York, check out Albany. You know, there's different things you could see here. This is Albany. This is about 30 miles north of Albany, so they include ones that are not 100% in the area. But I don't see. It's really not the greatest weekend due to Easter. Not a lot of stuff going to be available. Like this one right here does not look interesting whatsoever. It looks like you'd have a waste of time going there. But all right, let's go. We're gonna go to mine screen share. No, I'm not. Just talking rambly about nothing. Gonna get into another screen share. We're gonna go and check out some auctions. Go to auctionzip.com and you can check what do you want to call it? You can check auctions by your zip code. So our zip code is 20601. Check about, see around us, 50 miles. There's not a huge amount of auctions. There's 2 today. Yeah, you can see this one. They don't even have any pictures. I hate when they don't have pictures. They give you a description of what they have available. This one seems to be some machines. Yeah, I mean, unless you're buying an excavator, wannabe Bobcat thingy and some other things, front loader, dump trucks. Probably not. We're going to expand this to 100 miles. Get a little bit better. We'll see what's going on this, what was that, Saturday. Scroll down. That's a estate sale, actually, that we just already covered. I guess they post this stuff here, too. It's not an auction if it's an estate sale. I'm sorry. There's this one here, vintage clothing. Sometimes they let you know what it is. Like here, say war military uniform. 1930s silk. Kinos. I can't say that word. Vintage top hat. Some Hermes silk scarf. Interesting auction. This would not be for me whatsoever. I like to go to auctions. I actually like to see vintage items, signs, advertising, postcards, all kinds of different stuff like that. I've been to this one before. This is like they must get estate goods or something like that. They usually have all kinds of things from furniture to some cars and stuff like that, toys. shoes. Some stuff is in lots. They don't have every picture of everything they're gonna have. Cabbage Patch Kids. We click on the auction listing, and it kind of gives you an idea. When you go to auctions, there's always a buyer's premium to, and sometimes if you have to pay sales tax unless you have your sales tax certificate with you. So you just want to keep that in mind. Sometimes buyer's premiums are usually anywhere. Sometimes there's no premium, but a majority of the time there's going to be a premium of something. I think that's how the auctioneer gets his money for doing the sale. But usually it's anywhere from 10 to 20%. I've seen. Don't like ones where they're 20%, but it happens. Because if you're paying, let's say you're paying $100 for an item, you have to keep in mind that you're going to pay 20% on that now as a buyer's premium. Plus, you may also get tax on that item. So depending on, you might have to pay for that $100 item. You might be paying, like, let's just say $127. Let's say $20 for the buyer's premium and also $7 for the tax. So you want to kind of keep that in mind when you're going to estate sales, just to make sure. But the auctions around us are not looking too spectacular whatsoever. There was a really actually good estate sale. Let me see. Digging up old ones now. 200 miles, because I was gonna go to this one, but I just had too much going on. I think it was last Sunday. Yeah, it was this sale up in a certain area. This one had, some great stuff. If you're a reseller, you had some money. There was some cool things, like it was a Gibson guitar SJ200. I mean, I didn't look it up because I don't know nothing about guitars, but it should be pretty easy to look that up. And we can see this is, holy shit. Not sure. Yeah, that's the same guitar, right? Yeah, I mean, you're looking at here a guitar that's selling for the most part. I mean, the cheapest one sold $1,300, all the way up to 75 here, depending on certain things. I don't know everything about guitars, but if that went for a few $100s, I would say that would be a great item to pick up. But going to auctions are a great place to spend some money, get higher end items. See what else this one had. This one had this thing I thought was really cool. It was a Gulf Oil Supreme. It was like one of these carts. They have another picture of it down, but that was pretty crazy. Old bike right here. Old wood rim bike. That looks very old. Got to be some money there. Let's look. And this is how I just research things for a lot of these things. If they, a lot of times they have it. Sometimes you have to do a lot more research on your own. And of course, I'm not going to find one of those. All right, interesting. All right, so cool little hardware cabinet here. That's pretty cool if you have like an antique booth or something. A lot of these things are just how you can sell it. Old vintage train set right here with the boxes. These are early. These are probably 30s. I believe these are tin. These are the earlier ones. That is nice. Pretty cool. That's another part of the box. Lionel trains. Wrangler jean advertising display, 7'3". It seems interesting, but something I would not pick up. Old vintage air meter. I mean, some really cool stuff that looks to have been refurbished. Uh, I mean, this one had a lot of cool things. Like if you knew, I mean, you could if you had the money. I mean, here's an old U.S. Navy 1942 telescope. I mean, that thing is just interesting. I don't know where you'd find a buyer for that, but vintage advertising. There's a Kiss beverage clock. Can't tell if that's a Pam clock or not, but you know, probably worth a few $100s. Vintage champion sign. These actually sell pretty well. That would have been something I would have been interested in. That one. There was a lot of things I was interested. These old meters looked pretty cool. You make these into lamps and stuff like that. People do. There was a lot of advertising you see here, more signs, some old vintage chairs. Did a lot of vintage boat motors and stuff like that. A lot more advertising pieces right here. And you want to make sure a lot of these things too, you want to make sure they're not repops or fantasy pieces. A lot of them are. That's a good sized golf sign. Probably not worth as much due to condition. It was the front of that golf oil cart. It was really cool. I've never seen anything like that before. That's a piece I would have spent some good money on. But I did not go. It was a good 2 hours from me, and just with everything we had going on, I just could not get up there. But this would definitely been a nice thing for someone that knew about advertising, because there's a lot of advertising pieces in here, a lot of paintings. Now getting into it, some cast iron stuff, just a lot of stuff right here. Pretty cool. Old gumball machines, old postage stamp thing. I remember this. Peanut coin op machine. I mean, if you want to get into larger, more expensive things, I mean, auctions are a way you can do it. Spend more to make more money. Old telephone. I've done extremely with old telephones. You can tell by the cord here that this is probably 40s or 50s. I've never seen one like that before. I've sold a Bakelite one that looks to be copper and copper phone. Let's look, see if we can find a copper phone. Up if you spell phone right? See here. Maybe we should put vintage telephones. Similar ones, but not the same. And that actually looks like the phone there. Copper and Bakelite from France. Huh, that's interesting. 1940s. Yeah, that might be the phone right there. I mean, what did that take us? A few seconds to look up. You know, could find that. Maybe it sell for only $30. Some money to be made. That's in France, so you have to realize that free economy shipping. Why would you offer free shipping? Another one in the Netherlands right there. So that seems to have been a phone that sold overseas. I've taken in Europe. Here's one right here. This one has some doohickey on the back of it. In the Netherlands. Here's one in the US. Yeah, that's the same phone. So, I mean, you could get an idea of what it's worth. Uh, see here. X out of that. A coffee grinder. You could figure out which one that is. It's a Regal. We're just having fun, right? We're just showing you. I'm just showing you how to research. And how the hell do you spell Regal? REG. It doesn't look to be. I think it was the number 44. If you look at the picture, there's another one. Not crazy money. It looks like. Yeah, not really something. But depending on what it's sold for, I mean, there's some money there. That sold for $5. Make some money. Kerosene oil. There's some interesting things at this sale for sure. I don't know what that was. That's interesting. I just like to look at these pictures. If not anything, you can tell this was definitely a lot of vintage, definitely vintage items for sure. Old chairs here. These are the fiberglass chairs. I would rocker on them. I think they were trying to say maybe they could be Herman Miller. They're not sure, but Herman Miller stuff definitely does really well. So does Cole Knoll, however you want to pronounce that. KNOLL. Vintage, mid-century modern stuff does very well. And there's a lot of it in this auction. Vintage, I mean, Ralph Lauren table. Some weird, crazy stuff. My wife loves these kind of older vintage tables. Some more boat motors. Some more bicycles. Yeah, I think that's about it. But definitely some interesting stuff. I mean, auctions, depending on what auctions you could find, they could actually, do very well. You go to one place and you could get as much stuff as you need. Um, see, like here's this old sink. I don't know what that's made of, but this stuff sells for good money. Vintage stuff from houses and stuff like that. I mean, it may sit for a while, but I don't know. That looks like it could be copper. See how it's kind of green in certain places, how copper gets that. I can't tell because that's the best picture I have, but if that's a copper sink, I mean, we could just speculate. Copper sink, that might have not been. Yeah. Guess not. Not finding anything. I mean, auctions, it just depends. I mean, some stuff goes cheap, some stuff goes high. You know, Ronnie, do you ever go to the Bargain City Galleria auctions in Rhode Island? No, I have not. Have never been there. Maybe I'll check it out, see what's going on. But I'm really curious about that sink. So we're going to go to. I don't know why I go to Yahoo, but why not? Copper. I mean, if that was a sink, I mean, it might be worth some money. I can't tell if it's copper. I'm thinking it's copper, but uh, I know why. Let's check that. There we go. Sold sinks used. I can't find anything similar to it. I mean, here's one for 100. I would go on a limb and say you could get very good money if that was really copper. I mean, a lot of this stuff sells well. A lot of old vintage house stuff does well. My brother actually works for a guy who does about 100. I mean, does about $1 million a year selling vintage house, anything from flooring to bathroom fixtures to lighting and stuff like that. There's good money in it, but you definitely do have to pay up too. But there's a lot of money. If you have money to spend, the old saying, "Money makes money," or whatever it is. It definitely holds true. Looks like one of those old pie tin traveling things. But swords and stuff like that. I mean, this one had basically everything. I mean, old Roseville pottery and stuff like that. I mean, pretty interesting. This could have been a sale that you'd easily drop a boatload of money. Old lighting here. I mean, stuff like this sells actually fairly well. It's really good. Um, Antiques is a market that, depending on what it is still alive and kicking and doing well. Some antique stuff does not do well, and it's kind of like any trade, any thing. There's always ups and downs. That's a huge sign. Holy cow! That has to be. I would say that's at least 10 feet, 14 feet, maybe. Hood's Ice Cream, Somerville Ice Cream Parlor. Looks like cigars on the end. That would be a cool sign. But if that's one piece, do you imagine trying to resell that to somebody? I mean, Somerville is the area north of Boston. You'd have to find somebody that had a need for that, but that would probably either go really cheap or really expensive, depending if there was anybody from that area that really wanted it. But looks like a vintage sign. It kind of looks like that old painted sign. I mean, that's pretty cool. Would absolutely have no need for it. Slits beer. Where's dealer at? Dealer? Got some slits. But yeah, I mean, you can see right there, there's some stuff to be made. You could go to auctions, estate sales, if you wanted to up your game a little bit and get some different stuff and look for different things. Thrift stores don't have to be the only way to get stuff. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about, Deb. Crazy girl. But like, comment, subscribe. I think that's gonna be it. If you have any more questions, let me know. But I think we're gonna get going at this point. See you guys later. Have a good day, everybody.